Hello and welcome to the Break Zone. I'm Jared Scott and I'll be your host today for our live coverage of this Meta Potion Circuit event. This is the third event in the Northern California Meta Potion Circuit. We're coming at you today from Isle of Gamers in Santa Clara, California. This is actually the local store for us here at the Break Zone. So it's kind of nice to get to play at home, get that nice familiar surroundings, not have to drive too far for those of us who are here. But we got people coming from all over the Central California area, so we're looking forward to a good variety of players and decks and all sorts of interesting plays today. So we want to give a quick shout out and a quick thank you to Isle of Gamers themselves for hosting us, for being a part of the Meta Potion Circuit. So we really want to thank the owners of Isle of Gamers, Anna and Mark, for supporting the game, supporting the circuit, and being a big part of this. We will be hosting the championship at the end of this season here at Isle of Gamers in December, so that's something else that you can look forward to here. But we do want to give them a thank you for their continued support of the game and of the Break Zone itself. Also want to thank Meta Potion for putting together this circuit, and a huge thank you to Matthew Okamoto for all the work that he puts into setting this up for both the Southern California and Northern California circuits here. So thanks to Matthew Okamoto and Cal McGinty of Meta Potion for their work on this. Otherwise, we wouldn't have these events to stream for you. So we're going to be getting started here shortly with our first round of Swiss. Looks like we have 18 registered players today for this event, so we should be having 5 rounds of Swiss. This will be the first one coming at you. We've got two players that you may have seen on one of our streams before. We've got Philip versus Dylan here. So let's get ready to watch their first round. We're going to go in on them and get our starting coverage of round 1 here. Thank you for watching us right now. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit subscribe for the Break Zone so you can catch whenever we've got new videos, new streams for you. Tell us how we're doing. If you like it, if you don't like it, give us feedback. We want to be a resource for the community and something that people look forward to seeing here. So let us know what you think. Go ahead and subscribe there. You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/thebreakzone. So give us a like there. You can also see additional content. We have an article that just went up this week of Philip's top 5 Odin targets. It's a nice fun read there. So he's on the stream and he's also on the Facebook page there. So give us a like, subscribe to us. We're glad to have you here. But let's look in on the beginning of this first match. All right, so we've got our starting turns here. It looks like Dylan did not like his hand, so he's going to be doing a mulligan there. As a reminder, the way that mulligans work in this game is that you take the 5 cards in your hand, you put them on the bottom of your deck in whatever order you like, which might be relevant if you're not expecting to do any searching or shuffling, and then draw a new hand of 5 cards.
So Nia's cheating again. We're just prepared is all up there. Our residential cheater over here has a game.
They're all in turn 2 already.
Dylan's going to discard into a Ramza, first turn Ramza here. So we've got some aggression early on here, instead of going for a backup, and he's going to discard 2 more there. We're going to see a Geomancer, who's going to give Ramza the plus 1,000 power because it is a Final Fantasy Tactics forward. And we pass over to Philip's turn here, looking at 2 forwards across the field from him. That sort of early aggression, you may have to change your game plan there, whereas instead of just playing a backup, you might have to consider whether or not you want to get set up to challenge the opponent's forwards there, or in a couple of turns, or whether or not you want to deal with that immediately, maybe put up something that might be able to stem the damage there. So it really, as the first player putting out 2 forwards like that, really puts your opponent into a corner where they have to decide how they want to go forward. And so Philip decides to set up his backup line here. So he's looking at 2 damage coming at him this next turn. He did play that Sage, by the way. He takes that first point of damage, and then the Geomancer attacks, takes second point of damage. No X bursts there. And then Dylan passes back to him.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's cheating. There you go. Go ahead.
So as I was saying, Philip played that Sage in the first turn, which costs 4 CP, but when it enters the field, it does let you retrieve a character from your break zone. So he was able to play it and basically get an immediate rebate on that to play it for the equivalent of 2. So that's a good way to get started there. Now he's looking at how he wants to handle both the Geomancer and the Ramza. Not to mention the fact that Ramza does have the ability to buff Final Fantasy Tactical forwards, which includes the Geomancer, and he's going to play an Angeal Penance. This is something that we have not seen very much of here, so I'm going to try to pull that up for us. So anybody's not familiar with Angeal Penance, it does have haste, so he does have the option right now if he wants it. He could attack with it, but it depends on how what he thinks about the opposing forwards there, or if he's going to be playing any other forwards to follow that up.
Combat.
And there's a look at Angeal Penance. We're back to Dylan's turn here. He's going to discard 2 to play the Emperor. So he continues this aggressive play here. He's got Ramza, who's still 8,000. That's bigger than Angeal. And then he hits the X burst of Odin there. He chooses to use that on the Geomancer. So that was a fortuitous thing there. Anytime you're playing against a Lightning player, you have to be ready for potentially that Odin to come up as an X burst. Helps with the situation there. All right, so Philip plays Alcid, something else we'd expect from a Lightning player, targeting the Emperor, follows it up with Onion Knight, so that's going to be a total of 11,000 damage to the Emperor, which is more than enough. He's going to attack with Angeal Penance, do 1 damage. Oh, and he hits a Mustadio. So, the thing about X bursts is that they go both ways. So that takes care of Angeal there. So he gets the first point of damage, but at the same time loses his poor forward there. So we are left with Ramza, who is no longer being boosted by the Geomancer. And we'll see if he continues to be aggressive here. Discarding 3 cards to play Delita. Delita will once again boost Ramza by 1, so we're back up to 8,000 power on that. And that Delita, of course, is very difficult to get rid of, or at least expensive to get rid of. He's going to take the damage there. We are up to 4 damage now on Philip, and we're passing back to his turn. Considers his options there.
Man, you got all the hate out there over on that side, but no forward, so I can't really even do anything. Yeah.
Looks like he's going to attack.
I will play the Riku, discarding a pain.
Judge?
Dylan looking at his options right now. Whether or not he wants to block that Onion Knight. He takes the damage, and then Alcid attacks. He takes that damage as well. And we have a couple more Ramzas come up there, so no X burst to help him out on that one. And then we're going to see that Kane play. This is another card that Philip has started using recently that is not seeing a lot of play yet that I've seen in tournament decks here. This is the Opus 1 Heroic Kane, which does, when it enters the field, reduces an opponent's forward by 5,000 power, which he did so, but it was at the end of the turn, so ultimately did not make a difference there. It would have if he had chosen to block. He could have then chosen to target with that and finish off one of the forwards.
Oh no, I searched for it with Iridium.
And here is that cane that we were talking about.
Yeah, because I searched for it.
Always nice to see Dragoons on the field.
Playing 3 and 3.
So he's still got those 2 backups there. We are up to 6 damage on Philip after those attacks back over there. He's passing turn now. Back to Dylan. So we've got Philip at 6 damage. He's gonna have to block whatever comes his way at this point. Dylan's gonna discard 2 and play Raban. Delita targeting Kane there, so that's gonna do 9,000 damage to Kane, which is enough to take him out. At that point, he's attacking with Delita, and Philip's going to need to block these. He can't afford to take that 7 point of damage. So we are passing back to Philip at this point. We have to see if he has any good options here. He's behind on damage, doesn't have any forwards. So this early aggression from Dylan has been more than Lightning can handle at this particular instance. So Philip looks over his options. Gonna have to come up with some sort of plan to deal with those 2 attacks next turn. So either two forwards or a way to remove one of them and then 1 forward to block with. But anything less than that, and it's potentially that last point of damage that we're looking at. Okay, so he plays Adia. So this Adia, when she enters the field, breaks an opposing forward that has a cost equal to or less than the amount of lightning forwards you have on the field, which at this point is 3 for Philip. So that's an effective way to get rid of Ramza there. Also puts out a blocker, but that's what happens there. He gets rid of that last blocker, and Delita comes in, and that's going to be the end of that match there. All right, so started to stem inside there. That was a good counterplay, but ultimately could not keep up with the Knights there. So that was a good match, but a good example of the ways that Knights can really work together, at least as an aggro type deck. So yeah, that was a very interesting set of plays there in terms of just the constant playing of forwards that early. That sort of aggression is it's gutsy play. You know, either you're going to do it because your deck's based around it, or perhaps you didn't get that many backups in your opening hand. We did see that he mulliganed at the beginning of the match, so it's possible that it's possible that he just didn't have another line of play and decided to go with playing those forwards early. But it ultimately worked out there. I mean, against a lightning deck, you're going to expect a lot of ways to remove forwards, and we did see Philip get rid of the Emperor there, which was good because a lot of lightning cards tend to have activated abilities that you're going to want to use. The Emperor can shut that down a lot, but ultimately he did not get enough of those effects. Either an Odin or an Exodus or something to be able to target those cards there. Not to mention Delita is difficult to get rid of in the first place without breaking something. Something like Adia or Exodus can do so without being too expensive if you need to, but that early in the game, you have whatever cards you drew to that point, and so you're not always going to have access to the answers to things. So that was a pretty good first match there. We're going to continue providing coverage of the other Swiss rounds here. So thank you for watching us. Thank you for watching the stream here. This is the Break Zone. We'll be back in a little while with the second round of Swiss, and we hope that you will join us for that. So keep on watching. Again, hit subscribe, like us on Facebook, all that. Also, you can look at our gracious hosts here, Isle of Gamers. They're online at isleofgamers.com. It's ISLE of Gamers. Or also Elusive Comics, which is ILLUSIVE. Elusive Comics. Both owned by our hosts here at Isle of Gamers. great stores for games or comics if you're ever in the Bay Area here. Go check them out. They also ship stuff, so you can get things sent to you. But yeah, thanks for joining us, and we will see you for round 2. Welcome back to the Break Zone. I'm sitting here with the winner of our last match, Dylan. This is a little segment that we like to call Remove from Game. We're going to just talk a little bit about the match that you just watched with the winner, and talk just a little bit about the deck and the game and the match in general. So welcome here, Dylan. Good to have
Thank you.
Thanks for
Glad to
playing
be
on the
here.
stream with us.
Very fun.
How long have you been playing that deck for?
Well, I played a similar deck at Nationals, but
Okay.
it wasn't really Knights themed. It was just Earth Water, and so I'd since changed it to be right after Nationals is when I changed it to
Changed it
that.
down.
I added the third color with the Lightning to make it a full-on Knights deck. I definitely took some inspiration from Arvin's deck, I believe.
All the experts.
The EX Burst
Yeah,
deck, yeah. But
got it.
I leaned more in the Final Fantasy Tactics because that's my favorite Final
Right.
Fantasy.
So kind
game.
of a hybrid then of a
Yeah.
Knight deck and the Experts
Exactly.
deck. Yeah,
Exactly.
okay. All right, cool. So how do you feel that the deck runs differently than the one you ran at Nationals? Like what works better or maybe not as well?
Well,
about it,
it's faster because before I was running mostly Earth, and Earth tends to be a little bit slower. I don't have
Yeah.
a lot of. I mean, I did run Yang and Ursula in the Earth deck, so that's a pretty fast play,
Yeah.
and Vincent, Yuffie. But I feel like I have a lot of 2-cost forwards. They synergize with each other pretty well, and having a lot of knights able to search for them, that's something that the other deck wasn't able to
right.
do. So
Helps with the consistency.
Consistency,
right? Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. So I noticed that you mulliganed at the beginning of the match. What was it that you didn't like about that opening hand?
I believe I had like two or three high-costed backups, and I just didn't feel I could
okay.
play enough of the hand.
Like Mustadio or something?
Yeah, it was a
or-
Mustadio, and I think maybe I feel like it was a Shantoto or something. And I just knew I would never
yeah.
need it that early in the game.
Right,
so.
right. Okay.
But I
how
drew
did-
into a Ramza, so that was good.
Yeah, you had that first turn Ramza and Geomancer. So that was quite an aggressive play. So what do you normally try to play that aggressively with the deck?
Yeah. Like I just. Anytime I can, I try. I mean, with that deck and any deck, unless it's a deck that really needs a lot of backups. I mean, I didn't have good backups that from that mulligan, but I tend to just try and play a forward right away, set the tempo, make my opponent adjust to my play style.
Right. We were talking about that on the stream, how putting those two forwards out there on the very first turn forces the opponent to have to decide whether or not they want to respond to it, if they have a response, or if they want to sacrifice taking that damage to build a backup line. Obviously, he did decide to do the backups, but still couldn't quite find the responses for what you had out there. Because something like an Exodus might have made a huge difference that early, or just something to kind of slow down. Because the thing about playing forwards that aggressively and without playing backups is that you're going to be spending the rest of the match continually discarding cards for CP.
Right.
So it's one of those things where your economy is going to become slower than your opponent's.
Absolutely.
But obviously that was a case where you were able to keep the pressure on enough and to deal with his answers. The Robon was really clutch to get rid of the Kane there at the end. So
very much so.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of the effects I'm running are break stuff, deal tons of damage, bounce with the Leviathan at the end.
Yeah, that too.
So a lot of my stuff is to just keep my forwards out, buff them if needed, reduce the power. I run Cyclops as well, reduce the power. So I try and make it so plays against my forwards. Like I try and play the aggressive early, and then I try and make the plays against my forwards have diminishing returns.
And the Emperor shutting down a lot of those things that are going to directly affect the
And
forwards.
I was talking to him after the match. He probably would have killed Ramza had I not played the Emperor. But he needed to do something about the Emperor because I know Lightning has a lot of effects.
Yeah.
And he couldn't. He had a Black Mage. He couldn't use it to break stuff with the Emperor out. So.
Yeah.
The Emperor just alone, the Emperor is almost a meat shield because he
it's got a big target on him, but it's also it's taking that target away from the other forwards that are going to be doing more damage usually. So it's forcing your opponent to deal with something that they really don't want to deal with. So.
And so with that deck, playing a lot of forwards early is usually good for me, especially with an early Ramza, because almost everything in my deck is a Final Fantasy Tactics character.
Yeah, I noticed that when the Geomancer came out. I'm like, yep, that's also Final Fantasy Tactics. So he could potentially be buffed by Ramza, or he is buffing Ramza.
Yes, exactly. So if they happen to zap me for exactly enough, I can make it so I survive with the extra 1,000 power from Ramza, and also just, you know, ebb and flow. I can, oh no, I lost a guy, well, I'm going to throw a ninja down, I'm going to throw a dark knight down, a mystic, anything. You know, there are a lot of 2 costs, a lot of 3 costs, so most of the guys I can just play something again. And every time I lose a guy, I can replace it with another tactics character.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting deck that I've seen a couple of times that you've played now, and it's I like the way that the engine works on that.
Yeah,
so,
it's fun. And what I like about Final Fantasy, the card game, is that you can play the characters that you like, and it does work for the most part. You can play an 8 deck, you can play 7 deck, 13, and I like tactics, so I'm lucky that there's good tactics characters.
We're still waiting for a 6 deck square.
Yeah, seriously. There needs to be more than just
All right, well, thank you for joining us on this. I hope you have good luck with the rest of the day. Maybe you have to make the top cut here, and then we might have you back on the stream later. So thanks for watching us, and we'll be back to you with the second round here in a little while. Just keep watching us here at the Break Zone. Thank you.